Have our invocation led by our city attorney, Tom Trask, and then I'd like to have these young men lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Please rise.
Dear Heavenly Father, help us to carry out the tasks necessary for us to fulfill our purpose. Help us to stay on track so that we may let this meeting work for our good and for the good of this community. Help us be good stewards of positive change to benefit the city of Oldsmar and its residents. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Gentlemen, the flag this way.
We'll have you lead us.
Go ahead. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You guys have individual. Thank you, gentlemen. They're here tonight for their communications merit badge. A nice little moment with Councilmember Andrew Knapp, who fondly remembers those days where you can't use one meeting for two purposes, so you have to come again.
You have to come to at least two to get your badges.
That's right. We're very proud and honored to have you with us. The next item on our agenda is our Citizens Open Forum. Each speaker will be recognized once and limited to a 5-minute presentation on any subject. We do not have any public hearings tonight. If you do come up to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record. Would anybody on this side of the room like to address the council? Ms. Stevens?
Amber Stevens, 318 Lafayette Boulevard. Good evening, council. I'm here in support of agenda item number 5, Parks and Recreation Month for July. So I serve on that board, so I encourage all of you to go outside, enjoy nature. There's so many studies that show getting 1,000 hours outside a year is what we really need to do. So it's about 3 hours a day. Might be a little bit harder in the summer, but I encourage you all to do that. It's great for your mental health. So there's lots of activities coming up, so enjoy the presentation. I know I'll be enjoying it, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else on this side of the room? Would anybody on this side of the room like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the open forum. The next item on our agenda is the community minute, which will be read by our city clerk, Ms. Kristen Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Citizens Academy applications are now open for the Janice Miller Citizens Academy class of 2025. Classes run Thursdays, September 4th through October 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. and are open to residents and non-residents ages 14 and up. To apply, please contact the city clerk's office at 813-749-1116. Oldsmar Historical Museum. Explore Oldsmar's rich heritage at the Oldsmar Historical Museum located at 101 State Street West, curated by library staff. The museum features artifacts, photographs, and exhibits that honors the city's past and present. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 12 to 4 p.m. or email libraryinfo@oldsmarfl.gov to schedule an appointment. Veterans Wall. Honor a local veteran. Names of Oldsmar veterans selected by the Veterans Advisory Board will be read during the Veterans Day ceremony on November 11th. Submit applications by September 10th. For more information, please contact the city clerk's office at 813-749-1116. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Kristen. The next item on our agenda is approval of addition of new agenda items. That includes item number 2. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is awards and recognition. And we have the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council Community Preparedness and Resiliency Award presentation. Would you like to lead us in this agenda item?
I would like to welcome Ren Krall to the lectern. She is here, the Executive Director of the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, to give a presentation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. It was nice to meet you tonight. Council members, Councilman Knapp. Appreciate this opportunity. Kristen, do we have a PowerPoint?
We do. It is live.
Okay. Am I in charge of doing that?
You are.
Oh, that's not good. Okay. So if I just go any way, it'll click and do its thing.
It should.
Okay. See, he knows, because he knows council meetings. I have to have somebody help me with this. But anyway, good evening, everyone. I'm Ren Kroll. I'm the Executive Director for the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. And I've been with the council for over 28 years, only in this role as Executive Director for the last year and a half. And I'm actually loving this time in my career, and I appreciate it. It's been a while since we've been to see you, so I did bring a small presentation so that I can make you a little bit more familiar with what we do at the Regional Planning Council. And by you being one of our member governments, you need to be taking advantage of all the wonderful services that we can provide to you. We like to think of ourselves as an extension of your staff. And so for some of the smaller cities, smaller local governments, that can be a real benefit if you know that we're available to help you with things. And Councilmember Andrew Knapp, thank you very much. He represents your city very well on our council.
Does he wear bow ties to your meetings?
Yes.
When I go, we do
Sometimes.
virtual, so.
some-
Camera on, camera on.
Yeah, it's true.
Our mission statement is simple. It's to serve our citizens and member governments by providing a forum to foster communication, coordination, and collaboration in identifying and addressing needs regionally. Now, that's a mouthful, but it's simply to say that we tackle issues on a regional level. So all of us, we cross over jurisdictional lines to work together as the council. We're Florida's only multi-purpose regional entity in the state, and we're actually in Florida statutes. We're a tool in the toolbox of the legislature in the state in order to kick off big projects that need to be done on a statewide basis. For example, the TVRPC was responsible for doing the first statewide evacuation study in which all the counties were coordinated in their efforts for evacuating folks and citizens. We've been around for 63 years. We were formed in 1962. We serve 6 counties, 23 municipalities, and we have 13 gubernatorial appointees and 3 ex officios, and that's FDOT, SWIFMUD, and Department of Environmental Protection. Our officers this year, we change leadership every year. You may recognize Mayor Mo Freeney from City of Dunedin. Commissioner Flowers is our vice chair from Pinellas County, and Commissioner Rebecca Bays is our secretary treasurer from Citrus County. I plopped this slide in there because I want you to have the contact information for our management team. If you take a look at this slideshow later on, you'll have all of our contact information there, and I invite any of the audience. For you also, if you want to contact any of us at the Regional Planning Council, you might be surprised what we do and we might be able to help. We are part of the Florida Regional Councils Association. There are 10 regional planning councils in the state of Florida. There's actually over 500 in the nation, and you might have heard them called councils of government or regional planning councils, but there's quite a lot of representation for regional activities throughout the country. We started a program called the Tampa Bay Government Liaison Program, and one of the things that I wanted to do when I took over was to drill down to our local governments and have our staff getting to know their communities and who we represent. So we started this program, and some of you may not know this is my new favorite statistic to quote, but our region is the size of Delaware and also the country of Qatar. So we are a very large region in Tampa Bay. But we share a lot of things alike, and then we share a lot of things that are differences. Each community has its own wonderful nuances and community personalities. Your liaison is Sarah Vitale, and boy, is she a whippersnapper. She is the new Director of Civic Technology. And you've probably interacted, Kristen's probably interacted with Sarah, and your staff has, but we've started a new program because one of the things that I wake up and I'm so happy about are the young people that I work with every day, and the talent and the education that these people possess. And one of the strong points is we have a staff with a lot of technology expertise. So we're focusing now on offering some of this technology to member governments who otherwise would not have it. So for an example, I was around when you guys did this City Hall, and it's a fabulous building. I came to the ribbon cutting when Janice Miller was our representative back in the day. This is a beautiful building, but let's say you wanna think about moving the building. You can talk to one of our staff folks. They can develop a QR code, and you can tell them where the piece of land is. And your citizens and you can do the QR code. You can take your phone and look out on the property, and you'll see the building. So we can do that for anything. Like we were helping Madeira Beach re-look at their John's Pass. So as you can imagine, that's a loved place, and so they were getting a lot of pushback from citizens on how are you going to change this up. And so we were able to assist them. Most of these services are free to you folks. So please take advantage of the technology and the opportunities that we can help you with. We have several programs, economic development. We serve as your economic development district. And what that means is we are the federally designated district for the Tampa Bay region, and that allows us to bring down federal economic development dollars for our cities to participate in. If we were not the district, you would not be eligible for some of those dollars. Emergency preparedness and hazardous materials. We train hundreds of first responders. We house the local emergency planning committee, which is a statewide group that plans all of our emergency management activities throughout the state. Environmental planning. I love that little chunky manatee. Environmental planning. We are the agency on bay and coastal management. I'm so proud of that particular committee. It has now become, it was the agency on bay management for 38 years. And this year is our 40th anniversary, and last year we became the agency on bay and coastal management. There's a long history. We're going to be having a fun celebration in the fall in October on the water somewhere. We would love to have you be there to celebrate with us, and please go to our website and you can learn more things about what we do. For everyone in the room, Bay Soundings is a free environmental journal that you can receive. We've had it used by teachers, for educators. We have citizens that belong to Bay Soundings. It's a blog type thing. It's also on Facebook. But you can learn all about, and especially with you guys with Old Tampa Bay, there's lots of stories and things on Oldsmar in there. GIS and design visualization, that was what I mentioned a minute ago. And resiliency, this is becoming our trademark now. That incredible staff that I was telling you about are also incredible floodplain managers. And they are, they just developed a shoreline ordinance for our local governments. Some of you may be aware of our Regional Resiliency Action Plan. We would love to see the city adopt that. It is basically a toolbox for our member governments to look through and develop ordinances or comp plans and for best practices in resiliency. Here's where I'm going to brag about you guys, and I mean it. This little community, Oldsmar, I love it because you're right up there with Dunedin and Largo, and you guys sometimes beat the big boys in how you are working towards a resilient community. And the way you have moved through the years, I've watched it evolve, and even from just renovating this building in and of itself. And I thought it was so cool that the water fountains were where the fireplaces used to be. So I still remember that from then. But keep up this good work, and I'm going to get to what I really came here for. So we had our Regional Resiliency Summit. I would like to invite all of you to please attend next year. We are going to have it in the same location at the Palmetto Marriott. We got some really good reviews for that venue. We are going to offer Councilman Knapp free registration. If he's not able to attend, he can donate that to one of you, but we're working really hard to at least get one representative on each of our councils and commissions to attend. And please consider your staff. those are the workhorses that really benefit from this. We have to charge because hotels cost money. But trust me, we're not making dollars off of this. So please think about your city engineers, your resiliency planners, get them there. We would greatly appreciate it. So at this event, we have our annual Future of the Region Awards. The Future of the Region Awards has been around for 31 years, and we honor projects throughout the region, and it's not apples to apples. So Oldsmar won under the resiliency category this year, which is huge in my opinion, because you're up against Tampa, St. Pete, you're up against all of these other governments, county governments. We don't separate it out from municipalities and counties. And you guys won in community preparedness and resiliency. And I just want to say that that was a fantastic job, and you won for Together We Stand, Community Preparedness and Recovery Partnership, the city of Oldsmar. So with that, so the favorite part of my job is getting to do what I'm doing tonight. So bear with me, but we were lucky to get Erica Riggins, who is a wonderful MC for the Future of the Region Award. She's been a long time anchor for Bay News 9. And so I'm just going to read to you what Erica said about the city of Oldsmar. And so this is the explanation of what was the community preparedness and resiliency category. Our next category is community preparedness and resiliency, which improves the region's capacity to protect life and property from hurricanes, other coastal high hazards, rising sea levels, and increases the public's knowledge and access to information about natural and man-made disasters. We had 2 winners in that category. The winner was Together We Stand, Community Preparedness and Recovery Partnership. By implementing a strategy that combined preparation, evacuation, and recovery initiatives in partnership with a wide array of community organizations, the city of Oldsmar built a model for resiliency. Realizing its vulnerability, the city began an aggressive campaign to enroll citizens in the Pledge to Evacuate program. Way cool. The pledge was signed by almost 100 homeowners in vulnerable areas and continues to grow. The city also initiated a program, the Oldsmar Support Services Alliance. In addition to the various recovery activities that the city already had in its emergency operations plan, debris clearance, and damage assessment, it took on the role of communication and coordination for an alliance of local organizations. What started as an informal sharing of resources and information rapidly evolved into a structured partnership, uniting organizations and community leaders to work together towards one singular goal, to support the residents in the most efficient and effective way possible. So thank you very much, and well-deserved. I want to make sure that you know that every February our call for entries opens again, and we would love to see you enter a project. It's very easy to do. For our scouts back there, you can enter projects if you're doing like a really cool community service project or anything around resiliency. If you're doing cleanups, it's easy to enter, so just come to our website and maybe you'll get chosen. So are there any questions?
Do you want me to talk? We thank you so much for being here to tell us more about TBRPC. And thank you, Andrew, for serving on the board. But of course, we have a slightly, special motive, which is to get a beautiful photograph of you with some of the members of the Alliance.
That's cool.
So I would like to welcome up to the front and the council down. But before I step away from the microphone, we have a couple of really cool people here. I see Amber Stevens, who could probably represent Operation Jack's Village, Oldsmar Cares, a couple different organizations. Please come up. I see Pastor Peter from Community United Methodist Church, as well as Ron DeCoy from Community United Methodist Church. I see Nicole Wilder. If you see that last picture that you had, the Christmas swap, that was she or helped organize that, actually really started it. And on Friday was selected as one of 2 Citizens of the Year for the city of Oldsmar as well. I don't even know if she knew that.
I don't think she did. She did not get the video.
Surprise.
Well, surprise, surprise. And Christine Duncan, who is also a member of Community United Methodist Church, one of the nonprofits that came together to form the Alliance, were two instrumental individuals in helping our community. And so our Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, which as you know is located directly downstairs, selected Ms. Duncan and Ms. Willier to be our Citizens of the Year, which is a great honor, of course, in and of itself, but also they get to light the Christmas tree when we have our holiday event in December.
Awesome.
So I'd love to welcome all of them to come forward.
We're gonna implement a citizen award this year coming up.
Oh,
That's a good one.
we've got a nice template for you to find.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge also our city clerk's role in organizing the
Kristen, you rock.
daily phone calls, as well as the phone calls that continue today, from what I understand, as we have, kind of made this permanent. This is a part of who we are now. So please, everyone, let's take a photograph.
What's going on? Dave McKinley dropped the ball.
Need to balance this side over here.
This is going to be very uncomfortable for you for the next 8 months or so.
Can you guys come over this side? That's good.
Operations Jack's Village, we have
All right.
our VFW, as well as Community United Methodist Church at Oldsmar City Council.
Andrew, go back. All right, now Simon says.
This is not about the council, this is about the Ron McCoy. You get to be in charge of church. I get to be in charge here. I'm gonna hear about it on Sunday.
All right, ready? Take a couple here. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you.
They recorded a very nice video.
I saw a reaction.
Lots of hugs and smiles up here. I'm okay with that. I like that. That was wonderful. Thank you, everybody from the Alliance, for coming this evening. Okay, we have no items under our Community Redevelopment Agency. We do have our consent docket, which will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia, when she's ready.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 2, consider approval of minutes of May 29th, 2025, Capital Improvement Program Budget Work Session. Item 3, consider approval of the minutes of June 2nd, 2025 council meeting. And item 4, consider approving payments to legal counsel for May 2025 legal services.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to pull anything? Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Moved.
Second. I have a motion and a couple of seconds. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And next, under City of Oldsmar, we have our presentation and proclamation for National Parks and Recreation Month, July 2025, which will be handled by our Vice Mayor, Steve Graber. Oh, yeah.
It's on, Steve.
That's good.
Thank you, Tom. Nicole, you want a proclamation? I'm just kidding. Congratulations. It was a nice moment. It really was. It's on video somewhere, I promise. We were watching a video like
You
that.
seriously didn't know until just now?
Okay, we'll see you at the Christmas tree. Right.
I thought you knew. I would have called you.
Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation are essential to the health, well-being, and quality of life in communities across the nation, including the city of Oldsmar. And whereas Oldsmar's parks, trails, community centers, and recreational facilities provide vital spaces for physical activity, social connection, and engagement with the natural environment for residents of all ages and abilities. And whereas participation in parks and recreation programs promotes physical and mental health, supports childhood development through educational and youth programming, and encourages active, healthy lifestyles. And whereas parks and recreation contribute to the economic vitality of communities by increasing property values, supporting tourism, attracting businesses, and reducing crime. And whereas green spaces and recreational infrastructure strengthen community resilience, mitigate impacts of natural disasters and climate change, and help preserve the ecological beauty of our community. And whereas the dedication of parks and recreation professionals and volunteers ensures that facilities are safe, accessible, and welcoming to all. And whereas July has been designated by the U.S. House of Representatives as National Parks and Recreation Month, offering an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the many benefits these resources provide. Now, therefore, I, Steve Graber, Vice Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Oldsmar, and recognize that parks and recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And I believe our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Chip Potts, will accept the proclamation.
I was gonna say, is he gonna take a selfie though? Oh, Tatiana's a doll.
Tatiana's got it covered.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Council, Mayor and Council, and everybody here in attendance today. Chip Potts, Director of Parks and Recreation here for the City of Oldsmar. And what I'd like to do is give a short presentation on the history of Parks and Recreation Month and kind of just show a little bit what we do in a little nutshell here. Okay, so the National Park and Recreation Association was the driver behind the effort to recognize the importance of parks and recreation in our communities and the people who provide those services. It was first celebrated in 1985 and was recognized by the U.S. House of Representatives in 2009. And basically what it does is it encourages agencies across the country to recognize and celebrate the impacts that we make in our communities through parks and recreation activities. There are 4 pillars that support the efforts of parks and recreation departments that we focus on. And we'll take a brief look at them and how we support them here in Oldsmar. The first is community building. The events that we host, whether they are our own or third-party events, bring people from different backgrounds together. They provide a sense of community, develop relationships, and create lifelong memories. And you know, it's not unusual to hear people at our events say, hey, my parents brought me here when I was a kid, and now I'm bringing my kids to the event. So, you know, that's tradition, and that's family, and that's community. Some of these events include the ones that you've all attended, Party in the Park, Winter Wonderland, and Extravaganza, just to name a few. The next pillar is health, which is important to all of us. We have a positive impact on health by providing affordable and accessible opportunities to our community that are vital to our well-being, both physically and socially. We do this through amenities like the Oldsmar Trail, playgrounds for our youth, and active spaces for all ages. We offer fitness classes like cardio drumming, Zumba, PiYo, and offer outdoor fitness stations at some of our parks. In addition to the physical benefits, parks have a positive effect on our mental health by providing a natural break from the everyday stressors that allow us to escape, even if just for a bit. Next is economic impact. Parks certainly have a positive effect through the events that we host and their desirability from a home ownership standpoint. Just for example, one event, Gator Nationals, as we all know, brings in athletes and spectators from all over the country and the world. Many people come from out of this country to participate in that event, when that has a good impact and a healthy impact on our economy. As you can see, we had over 13,000 in attendance with an estimated $1.4 million economic impact to our local establishments. Another positive impact, albeit silent, is the impact that our parks have on our economy through our real estate values. They always say location, 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 right? But it's estimated that homes that are close to parks tend to be more desirable, resulting in a proximity effect, which has a 3.3% higher home value than parks that are not located within a close distance to a park. With 11 parks throughout the city, that translates into a good number of homes that are realizing that increased value. Lastly is the environment. We have many opportunities to connect with our natural areas through our trails and waterways. As you can see, we have 11 parks within the city, which equates to 217 acres of parkland and over 2,400 acres of preservation land, which equates to 40% of green space within our city limits. That's pretty impressive. Additionally, we have 6 parks that are located next to water, which provide access through designated canoe and kayak launch areas. We also have 2 floating docks and 1 pier that provide water access. So we have all these great amenities and we follow these pillars, but how does this all happen, right? So who are we? Well, to deliver these services, we have 4 divisions that work together as a team. As a director, I do appreciate all the recognition that you guys provide throughout the year following our events, but I'm not the guy that makes it happen. So what I want to do is actually provide some recognition to the staff that do this work for us. Our recreation division is led by John Lindsay. We have 7 full-time staff and 5 part-time staff members responsible for planning our special events, our camps, our BMX activities and programs. Our Parks Division is led by Supervisor Nate Rivera with 11 full-time staff and 1 part-time staff responsible for maintaining city grounds, parks, and working on special events. The Oldsmar Sports Complex is led by Supervisor Rich Cosgriff. He has 7 full-time and 1 part-time staff members, and they're responsible for maintaining our athletic fields, Sheffield Park, and also working on special projects. And finally, I think there are unsung heroes, is our Facility Maintenance Division, which is led by Steve Capola. He has 6 full-time staff members who are responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of all of our city-owned buildings and our park amenities. These are the true hands-on leaders who deserve the credit for taking care of our facilities and grounds and providing the events, programs, and activities that make Oldsmar such a great place to live and visit. So, in celebration of Parks and Recreation Month, we have some activities planned, and you'll be able to find this information online and on social media, and we invite you to come out and join us. We have a Parks and Rec bingo activity which is going to be planned, and we're also going to post an activity calendar which will have a suggestion within the park or recreation division activity to do each day. So you just take a look and visit or participate, and you'll have your whole month worked out. We're planning a Chalk the Park activity. I also hear there's going to be a Popsicles in the Park with a pop-up foam party planned. So be sure to keep your eyes open for this information. So, finishing up, thank you for your time tonight. We all encourage you to come out and celebrate with us this year. Consider joining one of our programs, attend one of our events, or just stop by our parks. So, thank you for your time tonight, and it
Starts in parks.
You guys are great. I love this. Okay.
We can be trained.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're very proud of this.
We really appreciate it. All right, next on our agenda is our city attorney.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Excellent report. And we have, you can't follow. It's hard to follow that kind of. Next on our agenda, we have our city manager.
The item is to consider adoption of Resolution 2025-11, and that's a 2024 concurrency test statement. So the intent and purpose of a concurrency is to ensure that public facilities and services that are needed to support development are available concurrent with the impacts of such development. Public facilities and services shall be available at the time of development. Development will not degrade the adopted level of service for facilities or services as adopted in the city's comprehensive plan, and development orders or development permits shall not be issued if the development will degrade the level of service. This agenda item presents a 2024 concurrency test statement in accordance with the Land Development Code. And I'm going to read the resolution by title only. So it's Resolution 2025-11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, adopting the 2024 concurrency test statement pursuant to the requirements of the Land Development Code, Article 11, and providing for an effective date hereof. And with that, I'm going to ask Tatiana Childers, who's already standing here at the lectern, the Planning and Redevelopment Director, to give a brief presentation explaining what concurrency is.
Thank you, Felicia. Good evening. Tatiana Childers, City of Oldsmar Planning and Redevelopment Director. So this is City of Oldsmar 2024 concurrency test statement, and I have very brief PowerPoint presentation. This presentation will also address all of the questions raised by the planning board, so we had some real good questions, and they will be incorporated into my slides. So the intent and purpose of the concurrency is to ensure that public facilities and services needed to support development are available concurrent with the impacts of such development, and to ensure that development will not degrade the level of service. Each year, the Planning and Redevelopment Department must prepare a concurrency test statement as required by the section 11.2 of the Land Development Code, and the statement after reviewed by Planning Board is submitted to the City Council for adoption by resolution. The report evaluates the impacts of approved development on public facilities and also the available capacity. The level of service, the LOS standards, or the best practices have been established for the following items: the transportation, potable water, sanitary sewer, solid waste, parks and recreation, and drainage. So we have only one approved development, which is the Kava Coffee shop located at 3502 Tampa Road. And this site development included a 440 square foot building with associated parking, which is only 5 parking spaces. We had some traffic complaints regarding the car wash site, and since the coffee shop opening, we haven't observed any of the issues with the traffic circulation. However, to address the planning board questions, we've kind of like been monitoring the site and for any future traffic complaints. So the residents can call either the code enforcement officer, Greg Silliman. They could call Public Works Department. They can also directly contact the law enforcement if issues are on state facilities like Tampa Road. Yes, so just one site. Next is water and sanitary sewer. So for the water, the city has over 5,700 potable water connections with an average daily use of 1.362 million gallons per day, and the capacity used is at 68% today. The city's adopted level of service for the potable water is 100 gallons per day per person. Regarding the sanitary sewer, the city has an average daily use of wastewater of 1.769 million gallons per day, and the capacity used is at 78.6%. The city's adopted LOS for sanitary water, sanitary sewer is a minimum of 125 gallons per day per person per capita. On the storm sewer, the city ensures stormwater permits meet drainage requirements for proper disposal and protection of adjacent properties. And regarding the planning board question on water meter replacement, so I double checked with the Public Works, and the water meter replacement project will include the reclaimed meter replacement upgrade as well. This slide provides a summary of the level of service for the roadways within Oldsmar. We have one facility that is currently operates at an unaccepted level of service of F. This facility is the Forest Lakes Boulevard from Tampa Road to State Road 580. And it is planned to be widened, so I have added a slide. So just wanted to note here that this project is the county project, and we're just like a stakeholder here. So county provided multiple meetings, and the latest meeting provided on the update, provides updates on this project, is posted online, so you can find it on YouTube. I also linked it here in this PowerPoint presentation, so you can find the Phase 3 virtual project information meeting online and also in this PowerPoint presentation. So up to date, the county distributed the 60% plans for the review. The 90% plans are expected to be transmitted in fall of 2025, and the final engineering plans are expected in February, March of 2026. The signed and sealed plans are expected in April of 2027, and the construction is anticipated no earlier than summer or fall of 2027, and that's just a brief schedule for this project. And here I also included a typical section that I found online in the PowerPoint presentation and also in the plans. So as you can see, this facility, this roadway will be widened. So it will include 2 lanes, so basically 4 lane with center 2-way left turn lane with shared use path on one side and upgraded 6-foot sidewalk on the other side. And for additional information, residents can go to Pinellas County YouTube or Pinellas County site to find out more. So next is the transit and truck route facilities within Oldsmar. The 2 maps here, they represent the current condition and also the 2024 condition for the city of Oldsmar PSTA route maps. So we have currently, we're served by 2 PSTA routes, which is Route 67 and Route 812. So Route 67 is a fixed circular route, and Route 812 is a connector to Hillsborough County. We've been given a very good presentation in May from Brad Miller on the updates to these routes, and you know that PSTA is transitioning to this connected community bus network. So under this connected community bus network, they will be updating the existing 2 routes into kind of like one route that serves that access to, and it will be renamed into Route 78. The following slide will demonstrate this, with Route 78B acting as a circulator and 78A as a connector. So this is kind of like an overall map. Red routes here, they represent the existing conditions for 67 and 812, and then blue represents the new 78AB. And they're also going to eliminate a few of the existing bus stops along St. Petersburg Drive, Stevens Avenue, and Commerce Boulevard. Again, for additional information, residents can go to the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority. Next is Parks and Recreation, and Chip just covered pretty much everything. But Table 3 here represents the city's recreation system inventory. We have an updated Table 3, so in your report, you wouldn't see floating docks, but we actually have 2 floating docks. One is in Mobley Bayou Preserve, and the other one is in Sheffield's Park. And we have only 1 boat ramp at National Orange Patty Drive area. Also, we had some questions regarding the pier rehabilitation during the planning board, and this information on the slide is slightly outdated. So we actually received all of the permits at this point. So we've been waiting on the Army Corps permit, and Chip is just is waiting on the bid, I think, from the contractor.
Oh, good.
This slide just presents kind of like a summary of all of the planning cases that we had for 2024. So we had minor, major site plan amendments. We had 6 of those. Zoning changes. There was one development agreement, 1 administrative replat, 1 conditional use case, just 1 site plan, which was Kava Coffee site, 6 variances, and 1 annexation. With that, we recommend the City Council adopt the 2024 concurrency test statement in accordance with Land Development Code, Section 11.2, concurrency test statement and monitoring system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. Any questions for staff? Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Tatiana. We appreciate it. Item number 7.
Is to consider awarding Ring Power Corporation the provision of maintenance and repair services for all city-owned generators utilizing a 3-year customer value agreement under the same pricing terms and condition of Sourcewell Contract Electrical Energy Power Generation Equipment number 092222-CAT CC 25-025. Reliable operation of the city's 14 generators is critical for maintaining essential services during power outages, particularly for key facilities such as the water and wastewater treatment plants, lift stations, potable drinking water wells, and the fire department. Regular and expert servicing is critical to ensure their readiness and longevity. Following a thorough review of available service providers and considering their expertise and established reputation, it's been determined that Ring Power Corporation is the most suitable vendor to meet the city's generator maintenance needs. Ring Power is an authorized dealer of Caterpillar products, and a significant portion of the city's existing generator fleet is manufactured by Caterpillar. This will include, but not limited to, routine preventative maintenance, load testing, inspection reports, and repair recommendations. The budgetary impact is $45,792.41 for 13 generators in lieu of 14, as we're in the process of replacing the generator at the WRF. So this is the first year of a 3-year maintenance agreement that staff will bring forward each subsequent years for council approval. Staff recommends approval.
See, we got a 10% loyalty discount. That's good. $45,000.
Yeah.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Donald.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, anything this evening?
No items, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Item 8, under City Council, consider the recommendation from the Veterans Advisory Board to revise establishing Resolution 2024-24 regarding member eligibility requirements, residency, and military service. So if you remember, on our May 2025 meeting, the council tabled this item and invited members of the Veterans Advisory Board to attend the meeting for further discussion. And I see that we have some present tonight. First, I want to take a moment to thank all of you gentlemen and lady who came tonight to talk to us about this item. And I would like, before we get into this item, I just want to invite them, if they would like to come up to the podium, lectern, whatever it's called, to say a few words if they would like. So I see Mark Brill, I see Frank Chicolo, I see John Mastermarty. And we thank you very much for taking the time to come tonight to educate us on how this came about and your vast knowledge of the board, which, well, frankly, we weren't here for it, so.
Well, they used to have all these groups come up here thinking that they would be allowed on the wall.
On the
And Jerry-
wall, okay.
On the wall that we had, it used to be right down in here.
Okay.
East Lake Woodlands, unincorporated Oldsmar, all of them had Oldsmar on their mailing address, so they figured they were entitled to that. Jerry Beaverland, who was mayor at the time, they were like sick of hearing all this every time they come up arguing, why can't we go on the wall? So he came to me and said, how about putting together some kind of a committee and we'll have bylaws and everything in it. I got with Mark and, the board went all right. I think it was it Lisa Lane? Was the,
Lisa Linger,
yeah, she was,
started in 2008.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Or whatever, and Frank and I were original board members.
Yeah.
And we put together this board and it had to go in front of the council to see if the rules and everything were fit to go in there. Well, it turned out that the council, they liked it, right? Because now they have less headaches with these people coming up, wanting to go on the wall. Plus, they would be the ones reading, the council members, DD 214s, making sure that they were, veterans.
Sure.
So it was a lot more work.
Yeah.
So we took that over. And now I notice we're getting a little static on some of the rules and what we have going on over there. But the rules were only meant to keep the ones that shouldn't be on that wall off the wall. And, they're not cheap, those walls, believe me when I tell you. So we're going to get close to be putting another one in there. So that was what I got from Jerry Beaverland and the council at the time. So,
So at the time, I'm so sorry, can I ask one question, Frank?
yeah.
So at the time that it was formed, it was more focused on whose name goes on the wall as opposed to who's on the
No,
board?
it was who was veterans of the city of Oldsmar, because that's who it was that's who was being able to go on the wall, would be a citizen of Oldsmar.
Right.
Well, East Lake Woodlands isn't really, they got a mailing address.
Right.
Unincorporated, and we would decide, especially if it was Gold Star Mothers, we had one of them come up and speak for their son. You know, we have no problem with that.
Right.
But we haven't had any more invitations to come over and speak. So
Okay.
anyone's, you know, they can come and they can throw out what they got, but it comes to us,
Right.
and then we decide that. But I noticed down the road, we had a lot of stuff that was already approved before us, was, you know, things like that. And it was like, I looked at Mark, I like, well, if they want to do it, they could take it back over, because we don't need to sit here reading people's DD-214s and listening to their stories. So that's where we stand now. So I don't know where we stand with the city council, if they want to retake it or leave it the way it is. There was nothing in this. I'm telling you, the ceremonies, there was nobody at these ceremonies.
Oh, no, there's no
I-
doubt that the board does much more
And
than,
we generated a lot of veteran groups to come out here. And people are sitting out in the grass there outside because they can't fit in there. That's what we wanted.
oh, yes.
But
No, I don't think there's any confusion up here about that, the fact that the Veterans Advisory Board does a lot more now than it ever has. We saw, I mean, gosh, Memorial Day, we all agreed when we had our meeting in May that it was, or at the first meeting in June, that it was probably one of the best ones we ever had. In addition to
Right.
reviewing names for the wall and everything else y'all do. We all know that. We're just talking about the board membership, but yes.
we
thank
were
you,
doing
Frank.
claims at one time during that
Wow.
process.
Yeah.
I had a dental truck come out here if anybody wanted to have their teeth looked at
Yeah.
and needed dental work.
Yep.
You know, little things like that. But,
Yeah,
you know, if you're inside the different organizations, you can do that.
okay.
But, like I said, we're more than willing to give it back to the city council if they want it.
No.
But
Some of the questions that I had or whatever, which kind of brought it to our attention, maybe we overlooked it, we've been on the board so long, and things just kind of went by us. But on the application form, it says all board and committee members, with the exception of the Veterans Advisory Board, must reside in the city of Oldsmar.
Right.
Which we never knew that. That wasn't the original agreement that
Right.
we had from the beginning. When, where, how that changed, I don't know that, okay? Like I said, this board's been going on since 2008.
Right.
Frank and I were original members on that, and like I said, from the very beginning, it was, you had to be a veteran and you had to be living in the city of Oldsmar to be on the board.
Gotcha.
Okay? When did that change? We don't know. Tried asking Kristen and Jenny, when did that change? All they had was the current application. Okay? At the last meeting, there was a question about how many people do we have? Do we have a forum? Do we have people coming up? Do we have, is there a problem with the lack of a quorum? I've been here 17 years. We have never missed a meeting. So, not to say it won't happen, but in 17 years we've been on the board, we have never missed a minute. And like I said, there was the other part I had, which was covered already. At the Veterans Advisory Board is the only board that members do not have to reside in the city, as far as I know. And other question is, why would we want board members on the Veterans Advisory Board and live in outside the city limits? Why would we want somebody from Palm Harbor, Safety Harbor, Dunedin, Tampa, or other places sitting our board? They really don't
Right.
have our best interest at it.
they're going to have our interest in there, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. And like Frank was saying, at the Veterans Advisory Board, just like all the other boards, the meetings are open to the public. So if anybody wants to come in there and express their opinion, have a suggestion to change, add to, subtract from, it's okay. And once again, there's no indication you had to be a veteran, and the Veterans Advisory Board is requesting that language on the application be amended to read that you have to be a veteran and reside in the city to become a member as originally intended. So,
And that's like any board. You have to be a member of the city. You got to live in the city to be on the board. So we've had people that were on board for years, and they end up moving down the street, and now they had to resign off the board because they were no longer eligible. So, yeah, we shouldn't be any different, you know, because people are going to go ahead and push their city. You know, you start getting that on the board, it might not be the only show in town, you know what I mean?
I mean, I used to sit on the Veterans Advisory Board for the city of Dunedin, and then they found out I was a Oldsmar resident, and they says, well, you gotta do your own thing.
Oh,
So, yeah, it's
okay.
kinda, not kicked off, but they said, we'll take care of Dunedin, you take
Gentle,
care of
yeah,
Dunedin."
yeah.
But if we're open to answer any of the questions, like I said, I reviewed many times the May 28th or 9th meeting that you had. There were some questions that you seem to have.
Just before we get to questions, John, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'd say I'm an active member of the VFW.
Please, we need, just to make sure that everybody on the interwebs, the millions who are watching at home, we need to make sure they can hear you, and the way that they hear you is through our microphone system. So if you could just speak into that microphone, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, I'm active in the VFW post here, and haven't missed meetings over there either. But you take our leader, he's Sergeant Major, they put about 30 years in. He's very active with Oldsmar Cares, and you take when you had the floods,
Yes, sir.
he was out there full-time. And you take, geez, after that last meeting, it was over at Oldsmar Cares, and he had his whole family in there cleaning the place up and all of that, plus members from the VFW here. And it's a lot of our members are not really, they're from outlying areas, and it was actually started by someone who wasn't really a resident here.
Commander Bear,
Yeah.
originally? Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him coming down here and starting this, you'd still not have a VFW post.
Okay.
But I'd like to see if you could make an exception in some cases.
When that actually came down was the district deputy.
Yeah.
And he came to our meeting, if you remember. And he asked me if I would resign from my board and go on that board, then I can resign from that board and go back to the board. Because he was on the same post I was in.
Oh, okay.
We ended up, that's how we were getting members in there. all
Yeah.
right? And we finally got a quorum where we could have a meeting, and
Yeah, he's one of the people who, he's put in, he's way beyond, mostly these people applying and everything who might be living here and everything, but he's really going way over the top on doing work right in here with Oldsmar, no charge. And you recently had the 5K run with 615 contestants in it, plus their families. You double that just on the people that brought them here. So there's 1,000, and if you talk about economic impact, just put a number on that one. And
Okay. Before we let you guys sit down, I just want to make sure that there's no miscommunication between the council and the board.
Right.
I think perhaps the clerk or Tom, I don't remember if you were involved in researching the history of the resolution. Was that Kristen?
We did do some research on the resolution. I did not bring that with me today, I apologize. But we did not find that it changed. I'm not aware of it changing. I did find some minutes from the Veterans Advisory Board. Well, Jenny, our deputy city clerk, found them. And they had, I believe, discussed this before, and it was their preference, the board's preference, to appoint Oldsmar residents and veterans.
Okay.
But I don't believe it was ever officially in the resolution, but it was their preference at the time. But again, the direction given by the board, I believe, was a long time ago in the minutes. And I can always forward that to council. We do have that in our office, so I can always forward that to council later. I believe it was provided to the board at their board meeting when we discussed this item.
And just so you gentlemen are aware, there is nobody up here, probably, I think I could speak for the past or present, who is questioning what you do, the manner in which you do it at all. This was simply an administrative issue where we realized, oh my gosh, the application, it doesn't say that? It does say that? When did that happen? How did that happen? And what do we think about it? And then it was brought to our attention that perhaps there wasn't enough input on it, and you gentlemen were kind enough to come tonight. So with that background, does anybody have questions for these gentlemen?
I wanted to clarify, because it sounds like you maybe want language to provide an exception if there is a possibility, or no?
No, because
Okay.
you allow one, you allow two, you allow three.
I totally understand. I just want to clarify so we make sure we're doing what you're asking us to do and we're doing it appropriately.
He was just talking about not to put down whoever's in charge of that VFW, but we have coming in here combat veterans, special forces. I mean, these are veterans that have been to war, right? And they want to get on the wall. And I don't think somebody, because they take over a pay job, should be granted.
Okay. Anybody?
Just, it still sounds like there might be a little bit of confusion, because I think that what's being discussed is membership of the board versus requirements to get on the wall. If there's language in there currently that allows you to get on the wall purely by being on the board, is that what's?
No, we read the DD 214s to make sure they're residents.
Well, I'm not saying that's being a veteran, but, you know, based on how the current language is, that allows a non-Oldsmar resident to be on the Veterans Advisory Board, does that then give them an opening to be on the wall? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because what definitely, just to kind of echo the mayor's, is this council, I think, has no interest in taking any of the current roles and responsibilities of the board back from the board. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and we want it to be that way. It's just trying to clarify this language of, because right now, you know, based on this last meeting was based on the proposed requirement of you have to be a veteran and an Oldsmar resident to serve on the Veterans Advisory Board. There were 2 applicants and only 1 showed up, right? And yet there's currently 3 vacancies. So there would still be a vacancy yet to be filled based on the proposed change, right? So I just want to throw this out there, and you can say no all you want, is would there be any interest of trying to keep it centralized to those that are focused and invested in Oldsmar, to where instead of it being an Oldsmar resident within the incorporated city limits, is it an Oldsmar mailing address? That extends it a little bit further, but obviously, again, we're here to listen to
If the council's ready
you.
to spend a lot of money and put walls up there, then that's.
This is
No,
not
no,
about
no.
the wall.
Not about the wall.
Well, if they're eligible,
If they're eligible,
they're gonna go on the wall.
if they're eligible to do it, and if you include the outlying area instead of the city, the unincorporated area.
Okay, I think.
We're talking about
allow the people in the
You're getting the
unincorporated area
miscommunication.
to be
Yeah,
on the
okay.
wall.
I think I see what's happening here. There are no proposed and will never be any proposed changes under this board as to the requirements to be on our wall. To be on that wall, you're an Oldsmar resident and you're a veteran, period.
Yes.
To be a member of the Veterans Advisory Board, to sit with you gentlemen 4 times a year and help make those decisions of who goes on the wall, planning the Memorial Day ceremony, planning the Veterans Day ceremony. That's what we're talking about.
Right, and
Okay.
that should only be the same, no difference between the wall.
Should be an Oldsmar resident and a veteran.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, because that got a little bit confusing. Okay. So I think the answer to your suggestion was no.
No.
Okay.
And that, again, by all
It
means.
was a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Had we ever really dinner, had we fought and not had a quorum
Yeah.
a couple times, yes, I would probably consider that, but, and like I said, 17 years, we've never not had a quorum.
Sure, and you'll be, I mean, based on what you have currently for potential applicants, you will have a full, regular member body and only 1, forgive me, alternate. So still be down 1 alternate, but if you've not had to really rely on alternates too much to be able to hold a successful meeting, then, you know, we just wait it out until somebody else comes to the surface and says, hey, I want to be an alternate.
In the
Under your
future,
requirement.
in the future, I'd say,
Position for 2 team members also.
I'd say, could we have a Oldsmar map here versus, I looked on, you go on Google and then look up maps, and had to go through like 10 maps before I found one that really showed you the limits of Oldsmar, so that can be confusing.
Yeah, well, our city clerk can always help with that determination as well. She has
Sure.
all those details. Councilman Swager, did you have any questions for these gentlemen?
Nothing further from the last meeting. I mean, my only concern was filling the vacancies. So, in making sure that you have a quorum, and it sounds like you don't have a problem with that, so.
We had one in Dunedin, if you remember, we used to have the ceremony out right in the middle there in the hall, and then had the police. They were our guys that would come down and present the colors, but, we got them in every city. If the city is lazy and don't want to do anything, then, and I know people, they would rather just sit back and go to a meeting or go to a ceremony rather than have to put in any time or do anything to it. So,
Okay. So I want to make sure that anybody else who's here has the opportunity to speak. Is there anybody here from the public who wishes to speak on this
Mayor,
item?
can I speak?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Vice
Okay.
Mayor.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
so sorry. I
It's
looked
fine.
this way and that way.
I was here. I saw you. I was like, hey.
Pardon me.
It's all good.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Hey, guys. So, it's one of those things, you already have the authority that you're asking for. You do, because you have it as your preference that it's a resident and a veteran, right?
I'm sure you just vote no.
You pick who you're gonna send to us to be appointed, right? So it's already there. So my thought was, well, just have the preference. And to John's suggestion, we could always put on the application, do you live in incorporated Oldsmar? And they could say yes or no. And then you guys would know when you're reviewing the applications, right? We wouldn't have to look at maps. Wouldn't have to drive around and have like a beeper go off when we got into unincorporated Oldsmar. That said, if we make the change and it ends up that there's no quorum, then we can change it back, right? And that's completely doable. Correct, Tom?
That's correct.
Yes. So,
they changed it, we didn't know nothing about it.
well,
That was never in there.
no, understood. But we're talking about whether or not to make this change, which initially I was like, well, I don't know if it's necessary because you already have the authority to send whomever you choose. And so if somebody comes in, and for instance, my brother-in-law, Special Forces, 20 years, Lieutenant Colonel, I think. And they had 3 kids, and he was deployed on however many times Special Forces guys get deployed, quite a lot, right? So say my sister, who was there the 20 years and raising the 3 kids, wanted to get involved with the Veterans Advisory Board. My concern initially, just from a personal standpoint, was you guys would tell her no, because she wasn't a veteran, but so closely related to veterans and understanding veterans' causes. So that's what was one of my issues. However, I've known all of you for years. I'm personal friends with all 3 of you, and I appreciate your service and everything you've done for the city of Oldsmar. So in deference to you, if we make this change, and I can get behind it and support it, if there comes a point where we can't fill those vacancies and we can't get a quorum, there would need to be an understanding that we can change it back because it would be necessary at that point. And Mark, as you've articulated, it hasn't been necessary in 17 years. So that's where I was coming from. I hope you understand.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I'd like to change before they change it back is actually possibly consider Andrew's nomination too. If we really have a hard time getting people, that would be a viable consideration.
Again, which, the way that,
Change it back altogether.
right, and the way it's written, you can already
It
do
would allow
that.
you to do so right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you could do that right now if you
Yeah,
wanted
you
to.
can do it right now.
It's
So
all up
that's-
to you,
right.
already as written.
Right now, we allow,
So
if,
I'd say the way it's written, the way we agreed to, Oldsmar resident and a veteran,
Right.
both ways, review the wall.
We also
We just
allow-
kind of keep it simple as a.
No, for sure, but did you want carve-out language for an exception? Because that's pretty much the way that it's written right now, where so you're saying if somebody, no, and that's what you said to Andrew, right? No? Right, so that's fine. I just think if we make the change in deference to what the board is requesting, and, we try to give the boards as much autonomy as possible, if this is how they like it set up, then I can get comfortable with that, with the understanding that if we have to make the change later because it's impossible to have the board, then that change can be made.
I understand, like I said, that you were saying that we have kind of control of the board or whatever, actually the city does, or whatever. 'cause
Understood, but you interviewed the applicants and then recommend
we
them
do,
to.
and then we pass it on, but
Right.
the city actually has a lot of the final ruling of
Have we denied any of the recommendations from the board?
Not as far as I know.
That would be the day.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but do you understand where I'm coming from there?
But like I said, just like any other board,
Okay.
Board of Adjustment or any other board that I sit on, it's the same thing. It's, we work for the city.
Sure. No, I understand. I just want to make sure I spoke.
Okay.
And we
Thank you.
allow,
We're equivalent advisory, yeah.
we allow if a person lived in Oldsmar, okay, and then went into service, or he lived at one time, we'll allow
Right.
him. Then we'll go on ahead and let him, especially when the mother or the father come up wanting to know if their son could be on the wall. He lived here back in,
The wall, I think we're good with the wall, Frank, honestly. I think we're good. This is just about the membership of the board itself. Yeah.
And to clarify, the only person that I believe is on the wall that's not a veteran or was a city resident was Bill Rackus.
and he actually owns a townhouse down there. You know, that Beaverland sold him.
He was the only one that gave him a free pass or whatever.
Gotcha.
Honorary
The
wall member.
honorary carving, yes.
Okay. Are there any, oh, pardon me.
I'm sorry.
I was just checking to see if anybody else had questions that I
was it.
missed.
No questions, but thank you for coming.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay. I'd like to open the floor to anyone else who would like to speak on this matter. So gentlemen, if you don't mind, if you would allow them, cede the microphone to members of the public who wish to speak. I see Ms. Brill over here. I see Ms. Allison over here. I cannot tell you how much it means to us that you came tonight, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Well, I need that.
And I really do think that the Memorial Day was the best ever.
I'm gonna leave you up here by yourself.
I think it really was the best ever. Mrs. Eileen Brill, please.
Okay. Do I have to give my address or?
No.
Okay. And just for Steve's thing, when you were talking about your sister-in-law or whoever you
My
were,
sister,
about
yeah.
or your sister, she had a lot of experience and everything, and I think that's kind of covered by the board, that it's an open meeting. Anyone can come, and if they do have things that they're aware of for veterans or anything like that, they can certainly bring it up. They don't necessarily, if they don't qualify to be on the board, that they can come during the open forum and say their piece, and hey, we can do, we can do this, we can do Quilts of Valor, we can do whatever for veterans. So I think that, the VAB kind of takes care of that. It's an open forum, it's open, anybody can,
Sure.
Attend to that or whatever.
That was me just thinking, since I got the agenda on Friday, I was just like, how is this gonna shake out? And I just thought about her. And I was
Yes.
like, well, she'd be qualified, but you're right. And you're qualified to come up and speak at the open forum
Exactly,
and
'cause
provide those
someone-
ideas. Yeah, no,
'cause-
absolutely.
Because someone at the last meeting, whenever we couldn't attend, we were out of town, otherwise maybe this would have been all settled. But anyway, someone had said that, there's people in Guller Village, they're not veterans, but they, are involved with veterans organizations.
Right.
And that's fine, but they can come to these meetings. I know they're only 4 times a year or whatever, but they're more than welcome, to come to the meetings and tell them about it, what can you do for veterans? What do you suggest? And then they can go from there. And I think the big thing was, if you look at the application, it does say, what Mark read at the beginning, that, with the exception, you have to be a resident. So I think you need to put in there on the application, you said it's inherent, they get to do, because it's their preference that you have to be a veteran and a resident. But on that application, I think it needs to be, you have to be a veteran and an Oldsmar resident, because people are just gonna get confused, or add your thing, are you, incorporated or unincorporated, do you reside in incorporated or something? I think the application has to be clarified a little bit more to go with what their preference is as far as who. That way you can eliminate a lot of applications that maybe, you don't have to go through, and people don't have to keep filling out when they know right away, like, oh gosh, I live in an unincorporated, I'm not eligible, to be, so, anyway, that's it.
Okay.
Especially if they don't pay taxes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Eileen.
Mrs. Allison.
Hello, Peggy Allison, I live in Guller Village. I started a veterans group in there when I moved there. My husband's a 23-year veteran, retired. Since I've lived there, I actually have put 19 names on the wall here in Oldsmar by sending them in to Kristen and Jenny and anybody else. I've had 5 Quilts of Valor presentation, which Katie was one of the speakers because we held it here in Oldsmar, had the TV presentation there. I am so thrilled that you all have a veterans program. I did not know that it was an open forum that we could attend the meeting, so I probably will attend them. I have a love for the veterans. I have speakers come to our meetings when we have. I've got a couple of the widows, extra compensation. I've had speakers come in. I've even had our sheriff come and speak to our veterans and brought the canine dogs. I believe that the veterans really need our help. I have applied to be on there. I did not know it was for just veterans, but I did apply because I believe in our veterans and we need to support our veterans. And I thank each of these gentlemen here that have already been on it for so many years and thank them for their service. But if it comes to the point that it has to be a veteran, I understand. I am a citizen of Oldsmar, but if there's a vacancy, I would love to get on the committee. I would do anything for our veterans. They are such a special place in my heart. When we lived in West Virginia, I even did it for the hog rally group, and I saw these grown men cry when they got their quilts. And I've even attended the VFW meeting with David McKinney and got my husband to sign his application to join. So they want me to do the auxiliary, so we will see how that goes. But anyway, thank you for letting me speak, and thank you again, gentlemen, for doing such a wonderful job with our veterans. And yes, I was there at the Memorial Day.
I'm telling you, it was the best one ever.
It was a very good meeting for everyone that attended and great speakers. And thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Okay, is there anybody else in the room who wishes to be heard on this particular item? Okay. So I don't have a motion on the floor. Open to a motion on this item. I just wanted to, just one more time, I know we have made it clear, but this only pertains to membership on the board, not who gets to be on the wall. That is and will always be decided by the Veterans Advisory Board with the specific criteria of living in Oldsmar and being a veteran, other than Mr. Bilirakis, as has been mentioned. Okay. So. Wow, by the nose.
Motion to
Thank
approve
you.
revising, establishing resolution 2024-24 to require that all board members on the Veterans Advisory Board be both veterans and residents of Oldsmar.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a couple seconds. Is there any additional discussion on this item? Okay. Does everybody out there feel like we have clarity now? I just want to make sure that the board members know that this did not arise from any desire to take back any of what Frank Chicolo is doing, sir.
But as long as the board is covered, the wall is covered by citizens of Oldsmar, it would be,
Yes, sir. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. I'm sure our clerk will update the application online and what have you as soon as possible, and our city attorney will update the resolution language. Again, thank you, everybody who came tonight to talk on this issue. We appreciate your input as always, and thank you for all of the work that you do. And you don't have to stay if you don't want to stay. Okay, the next item on our agenda is council comments. We'll start with Mr. Swager.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to say today's ceremony of the new fire truck
Housing
ceremony was a delight. I was able to bring my daughter with me and take some photos. The truck is gorgeous. And looking forward to this Saturday at Walmart with Sharon Edwards and Life is a Donation. And we got to get some more peanut butter and jelly, I think. We got to win. Had a great time at the Chamber Awards ceremony and dinner last week, and special congratulations to our city manager and city clerk, our award winners.
Yes.
Right?
Just our city manager.
Oh.
The Oldsmar Cup. I spoke on behalf of the Alliance for Nicole Williger
Oh, that's
and
right.
Christine Duncan, who got the Oldsmar Citizen of the Year, which is amazing.
Yeah, which they learned about tonight, right?
That was
One of
funny.
them did, yeah.
That was funny.
So, but yeah, that's all I have. Short and sweet. Thank you.
Councilman Knapp?
Yeah, that was the most low-key award announcement ever. Like, oh, and by the way,
I'm gonna try
Citizen of the
again.
Year.
Yeah.
Well, I know you didn't know.
I thought she knew.
I mean,
Chrissy knew like the next day, like that night.
Dave McKinley sent it to her.
I know she was out of town.
Yeah, because it was Tanya who took the video. I was watching
Yeah.
Tanya take the video, both.
Yeah.
I feel so lame. Anyway, go on.
That's okay. Anyways, yeah, the dinner was great. We'll give a shout out to Jay Goody. Well, props to us being the highest fundraising table at the dinner.
Which I'm still mad about.
Yeah, which you're
Federal
still mad about.
No need to
So
discuss why.
we raised the most money out of, I don't know, 16 or so tables, and that allowed us to get first pick at the dessert table. And Jay Goody made a fantastic chocolate and apricot cake that I think we all
Viennese
enjoyed.
cake,
And yeah, it was a great dinner overall. It's just great to always have the camaraderie there with the chamber and all the local business owners and those that get recognized and the few that get surprised, including our city manager. She was happy and kind of probably angry at the same time,
Yeah.
like, oh, they're recognizing me. I knew you just got me. But yeah, other than that, it was great last couple of weeks, and I'll be brief. I just want to say happy, we celebrated, Father's Day over the weekend. And we actually celebrated my dad's birthday early because today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Dad. I will see you in a few minutes to have some cake. And happy early birthday to my son, Henry, who will be celebrating this Saturday. And then, so I will not be at the festivities of the chamber, but I will make sure I send some PB&J
Gotcha. Thank you.
in my absence because
Thank
we'll
you,
be
sir.
pool partying it up for the little guy.
Of
So,
course.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Kavazowski?
I'm excited. I loved being part of the housing ceremony. It was a privilege to be there to push in our new fire truck. And that goes right into commission as soon as we pushed it in. So they were going to have it rolling tonight. So I'm happy to have been part of that. Thank you to the staff who gave presentations today. Excited about Parks and Rec Month. I get the unique privilege as one of the instructors for cardio drumming to work hand in hand with the Cypress Forest Rec staff. And you truly can tell day in and day out, they love their jobs, they care about the community, and it shows in their everyday interactions. So thank you to the veterans who came tonight. I don't know if they were aware that we can't just call them and chat with them informally about the resolution and changing the rules. They have to come here because of the laws, the sunshine laws. So we can't just.
We can call them. It's just that,
You can't talk amongst yourselves.
yeah, then you can't tell me what he said.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right, so,
Yes.
which is why we requested they come here so we can
Right.
all have an interactive conversation.
Right.
Correct. Yes. So instead of all individually calling them and bombarding them and having that
What, 5 phone calls?
Yeah.
Say the same thing
weird
5
game
times?
of telephone.
It's a light day.
Thank you for showing up. I know it's a weeknight. It's late.
Thank you for letting us all come up here and speak and make it public and.
We appreciate it. And I know the public appreciates the transparency in the process as well. I need all the good vibes and prayers that you can send for safety. I have a teen and driver's ed this summer.
Nice.
So that is our summer activity. So we're getting into gear.
Good vibes. Good
And
vibes, good vibes.
we will see you this weekend at Walmart. Vincent and I will be loading up on some PB&J and try to win that trophy.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations, Felicia. The surprise is on video. I did get the surprise look.
He did.
And by the way, on the video, you can hear the three of us, me, the mayor, and Councilmember Knapp, the two of you say, I think she knows. And you hear, and then that's why I turned. But I forgot that that's why I turned.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to turn until they gave her the award.
Turned and got
But
her face.
the two of you were like, she knows.
Because we had reached the point in the speech where it
like,
couldn't have been
it's
anybody
pretty
else in the room.
obvious.
Right, yeah, well, yeah. If they started it with, Felicia Donnelly won this, we
would've been
figured it out pretty
disappointing
quickly.
if they
But
did
it's always a wonderful event with the chamber. They always put on just such a fantastic night. And all of the business owners, that they get their recognition, they win their awards. It's just always fun. So I was glad to be there. I do have one fun thing. Now, you guys all know that I went to Orlando a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Well, one of my colleagues makes 3D dragons. You see this? With her children and her husband. So she gave them, we had never met each other in person, so she was giving them all of us kind of like a hi, how are you sort of thing. So of course, what we do here in Oldsmar came up because of, I'm sure it happens to all of you, my position on council. And so it turned into a, hey Graber, we don't think you'll bring this dragon to the next council meeting.
You're getting a zoom right now. It's happening. Get a side view.
Oh, it's so
side,
washed
side
out,
view.
though.
Side
There
view.
we
Turn
go.
him sideways.
There, yeah.
Not you, him.
So, I need to talk to it. So it's up here. I need to talk to it. Okay.
Can we get a body shot? Turn him sideways, Steve.
There.
Steve, make him
I'm
parallel to the
moving.
computer.
Okay, don't move.
There we go.
Here.
There. Does he have a name?
Oldie, but I also wanted to call him the vice mayor of all dragons.
Okay.
For the mother of all dragons, the vice mayor of all dragons.
Consider the bet made.
And
then.
Mayor, if I get one for you, do you want it to be the mayor of all dragons? I'm happy to
I
do so. I've already been offered another one from my colleague.
I'm
but
the mother
anyway,
of my 2 dragons, but we could have him be the mayor
That's
of
true.
the dragons.
This
yeah.
is the vice mayor of all dragons. His term will end in March of 2026.
That's funny.
So they told me I wouldn't talk to it because I wouldn't be like, hello, how are you, Mr. Dragon? And they're like, hey, I bet you won't put it on your shoulder. And I'm like, and do what? And they're like, and talk to it. And be like, what? Be like, no, I'm not going to say that about Andrew. I'm like, I'll say it about Sean, not Andrew. You know?
Is there money involved in this bet? Because I might want $1 or
No,
something.
of course not. No, it's just fun, but
There you go.
the vice mayor of all dragons will live on my spare desk.
And remind me again who bet this?
It was honestly a meeting with almost all of my team members and our upper management. So it was a big discussion between all of us.
Huh.
And so I just
They will not take a future bet with Vice
no,
Mayor
they
Graber.
well, what was funny is that the ones who knew me well were like, he's not kidding, he's going to do it. So I just wanted to say that I'm so very fortunate to have all of you, because when they said, aren't the rest of your council members going to think you're crazy? And I said, no, they've all met me. And I said, no, we have fun. We take everything that's serious very seriously, and we do our jobs. But when it's time to have some levity, it's time to laugh. We do it well, we do it a lot. And so, but it's also a reflection of my employer, and just so I can say to them, because they all are waiting for this tomorrow. Like, they're like, when are you going to send us the link? Can we get a screenshot of you holding the dragon? Apparently, it's right in the face. Not only are they so incredibly supportive of the work that I get to do for the citizens of Oldsmar, they were excited about it, and they just wanted to have fun with it. And it was just like, it's such an awesome experience to have. Of course, we all have multiple jobs, but to be here and be like, no, I know you guys are gonna think it's funny and understand where I'm coming from, but to have them be so excited, be so supportive, and understand that it's, this isn't just some hobby. Like, we spend our time giving back to our community, and it's very important to me. But yes, of course I will have fun. Of course I will put the dragon on my shoulder. Of course we're going to name it, and of course it's going to be a permanent resident of the City of Oldsmar Council Chamber. But just much appreciation to everyone, especially you guys and my team with my employer. Thank you guys so much. I will send it to you in the morning, I promise. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. A couple of quick things. Thank you to our city manager, city clerk, and the city manager's office, and of course, all of the department heads for an incredible capital improvement plan meeting. We've just got you tonight, Chip. Unfortunately, the agenda items did not require the other department heads to come, so my thanks. You can tell them all that I said thank you for their incredible presentations. Yours was, of course, excellent at the budget meeting. So Obviously, a very comprehensive look at the real hard costs that the city will incur over the next couple of years, which unfortunately continue to escalate, everything from concrete to gasoline, material, everything is escalating in costs, and it's really tough for our department heads to continue to make ends meet, and yet they do it with grace, and they do it by collaborating with each other to make sure that each department gets what they need when they need it. And I think that's just a great testament to our leadership, award-winning leadership. And I wanted to be sure to thank all of them for spending it was a good 3 hours that night. So we appreciate you. I attended the Forward Pinellas meeting last week as representative for PSTA, but you know, Mayor Joe over in Safety Harbor, he's there for Safety Harbor and Oldsmar as well, but you don't see him coming back to our meetings to tell us what happened, so I figure I could, you know, wear that hat for just a second. They presented and we approved as a board the TIPS, the
Transportation Improvement Program.
Transportation, they have nothing but acronyms. Nothing but acronyms, that's all. Everything is ABCs.
For everything.
Oh, I gotta get a cheat sheet. Kristen recommended a cheat sheet. By the time I looked it up on the cheat sheet, they'd be on the next item though. So anyway, it's a list of all of the important transportation related items in the county. And so of course, I was happy to see that the Oldsmar Complete Streets project related to the roundabout was on that priority list, which we approved. So that will now go to the state, and that's how the state and federal funding dollars eventually make their way to us. We want more of those dollars. I also wanted to congratulate Felicia on her award from the it's called the Oldsmar Cup, by the way, from the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. Very excellent speech by David McKinley about everything that Felicia has accomplished this past year, which included statements such as going above and beyond to protect our citizens, protect property and life during the hurricanes Milton and Helene, and the flash flood that happened in the middle, and a lot of other inconveniences that came afterward. So thank you, Felicia, for everything that you do and continue to do, because that process has not ended. And I also apologize to Nicole Willinger for letting her know in such an inappropriate fashion that she was co-citizen of the year. Hopefully she will find that out again and in a more appropriate manner, but many congratulations to Christine Duncan and Nicole Willinger for being awarded Citizen of the Year. They were both absent from the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber event. Of course, they want it to be a surprise, so when people have conflicts, like those two ladies who do so much and had family events that night, they weren't going to tell them, well, you have to come because you're going to win something. So that's why these ladies did not know. But in any event, excited for December when we'll have the tree lighting ceremony. This weekend, Life is a Donation event at Walmart, as you guys mentioned. The tailgate party is from 9 to 1. We will have shopping lists, and people can go into Walmart, buy things, drop it in the bin. Of course, we are still competing with the chamber for the peanut butter jelly. I know you guys are going to support me. It's been a lot of fun. We'll have another video this Thursday. And I'm just so grateful for the outpouring of support. You might have noticed that Sharon Edwards from Life is a Donation and David McKinley on behalf of Oldsmar Cares were even on TV this morning. Thank you to Jillian Ramos for helping that happen. All of this benefits Oldsmar Cares, of course, which is near and dear to all of our hearts, and restocking their pantry and clothing items as well as toiletries. And I think that's all I have. I'm probably forgetting something, but that's the way it goes. The next item on our agenda is consider approval of the tentative agenda for the July 1, 2025 council meeting. Does anybody wish to pull or add anything?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion to
Do
approve.
you want to add the resolution relative to the Veterans Advisory Board change?
I would like to add to the agenda. Actually, Vice Mayor would like to add to the agenda.
What am I adding? Add to the agenda consideration of resolution revising the
Membership requirements?
Membership requirements of the Veterans Advisory Board, that each member must be an Oldsmar resident and a veteran.
Okay.
Motion to approve the tentative agenda as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
This motion does not require a vote. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate it.